Now listen, when we talk about avoidance, we're not talking about evil people. We're talking about people who have structured their entire internal world around one core psychological principle: safety through emotional distance. It's a defense mechanism, often rooted in early relational trauma, inconsistent caregivers, or emotional neglect. They don't run from you, they run from what you represent: the terrifying possibility of intimacy, the demand to be seen in their emotional nakedness. Avoidance individuals tend to structure their emotional world around the need to maintain control, especially in close relationships. That control doesn't come from dominance in the traditional sense, but from emotional distance. When they feel overwhelmed or engulfed by intimacy, they cope by withdrawing, shutting down, or becoming aloof. It's their way of maintaining a psychological boundary. They were never taught to negotiate healthily. So what happens when you, the formerly emotionally available partner, suddenly withdraw your attention? You interrupt the very dynamic that kept them feeling safe. You see, the avoidant isn't used to being left. They're used to leaving first. Mentally, emotionally, or physically, they anticipate closeness as a threat, so they create space before the other person can breach their internal walls. This pattern gives them a sense of control, as if they're one step ahead of emotional pain. But when you go no contact, or stop reaching out, or pull back your energy with intention and composure, that system breaks down. They didn't get to leave first this time. You did. And that shakes them. And your withdrawal triggers it in the avoidant psyche, not always consciously, but deeply. It forces them to confront the one thing they work so hard to avoid: uncertainty. When you're no longer predictable, no longer feeding them emotional breadcrumbs, no longer reacting to their pull-push behavior, they lose their grip on the dynamic. And that lack of control can create intense discomfort, even if they don't show it outwardly. This is important to understand. Avoidants don't miss you at first. They miss the feeling of control they had over you. They miss the dynamic where they could engage or disengage on their terms, knowing you'd be there waiting. But now, with your attention gone, the emotional chessboard is empty. Their strategies no longer work because you've stopped playing the game. And in that emptiness, they begin to feel the very things they tried to repress: loss, uncertainty, even regret. Your withdrawal becomes a mirror they didn't ask for. It reflects the truth. They were never as in control as they believed. And that disruption often leads to them spiraling into analysis, checking your online activity, asking mutual friends about you, or testing the waters with subtle texts. But none of that comes from strength. It comes from the rupture of their illusion. Withdrawing your attention doesn't just send a message. It rewrites the entire emotional structure of the relationship. It says, I am no longer here for you on your terms. That single shift, when done not out of spite but self-respect, is often the first crack in the avoidance armor. It disorients them, it confuses them, and eventually it draws them back, not because you manipulated them, but because you stopped giving them the very thing they were abusing: your energy. And in that silence, they begin to feel what they fear most: powerlessness, uncertainty. And slowly, your absence becomes louder than any words you could have spoken. Avoidant individuals are fundamentally wired to protect themselves from emotional overwhelm. They often interpret closeness as a threat, not because they don't care, but because intimacy activates a buried sense of vulnerability they've learned to suppress. So they build walls. Psychological distance to maintain safety. In relationships, this often creates a dynamic where they withdraw, expecting you to remain present, to wait, to pursue. But when you remove your emotional presence entirely, something profound happens. You don't just leave a silence, you create a psychological vacuum. That vacuum isn't just the absence of words or gestures. It's the sudden disappearance of emotional supply, of validation, of the comfort they unconsciously counted on even while resisting it. It's easy to assume avoidants don't notice your absence. They may not message you, may not react visibly, may even seem fine on the surface, but internally, the systems they relied on, those quiet assurances that you would always be there, begin to collapse. What they pushed away is now gone, and what was once taken for granted suddenly becomes conspicuous by its absence. Avoidants tend to regulate their emotions through avoidance, deflection, and control. They rarely sit in emotional stillness, and they especially don't like emotional uncertainty. But your emotional absence creates uncertainty. It invites them into the very space they've been running from, the space of reflection, confusion, and eventually discomfort. Without your emotional availability buffering their defenses, they are left alone with themselves. And for someone who has organized their identity around not needing others, that solitude can be disorienting. Over time, this vacuum becomes emotionally haunting. They start to sense the edges of a loss they can't quite articulate. So it's not just that they're gone, it's that the psychological map they had of the relationship no longer works. The rules changed, the energy is gone, the familiarity is disrupted. And in that emptiness, the avoidant begins to feel things they previously compartmentalized: doubt, longing, even regret. Now, it's crucial to understand that this doesn't happen immediately. Avoidants don't process emotions in real time. They delay, detach, and distract. But the vacuum you've left doesn't go away. In fact, it grows. And the more they attempt to fill it with distractions, dating apps, work, hobbies, the more they're reminded of the emotional contrast. Nothing replaces the space you once occupied. You weren't just a person in their life. You were a reflection of what they were too afraid to claim: connection, vulnerability, meaning. Eventually, this vacuum starts pulling at their psyche. It quietly questions their decisions. It challenges their narrative of independence. It doesn't shout, but it echoes. And that echo becomes the internal conflict they can't resolve through logic or distance. They miss you, not because you pleaded, or posted, or begged, but because you disappeared. You took your emotional presence with you. And in doing so, you forced them to feel something they weren't prepared to face. The void left behind by someone who once made them feel safe, even if they never admitted it. Avoidantly attached individuals often construct a subtle, unspoken superiority narrative in their relationships. This doesn't mean they walk around acting arrogant or overtly dominant. It's more psychological than that. It's the internal belief that they don't need others as much as others seem to need them. This belief protects them from the vulnerability of emotional dependence. When conflict arises or when closeness begins to feel too intense, they retreat behind this wall of emotional detachment and tell themselves they're better off alone. But when you begin to transform yourself after the relationship, especially without trying to prove anything to them, that self-evolution begins to fracture the very narrative they've been hiding behind. You see, avoidants often detach, not because they feel truly indifferent, but because closeness confronts them with parts of themselves they haven't integrated. Emotional needs, fears of inadequacy, or a deep sense of being unlovable. To manage this discomfort, they downplay your value. They tell themselves, you were too needy, too emotional, too much. This psychological distancing protects their ego. But when you begin to rise, when you invest in your growth, your confidence, your purpose, without reaching back for them, it hits them where they never expected to be challenged. Self-transformation is threatening to the avoidance superiority fantasy because it rewrites the dynamic. You are no longer the one seeking their approval or trying to mend the distance. You become the version of yourself they secretly feared you might become: empowered, self-validated, emotionally autonomous, and The moment they sense this, their inner narrative starts to crumble. They can no longer place themselves above you. They can no longer believe they had control over the emotional dynamic. You're not beneath them, you're beyond them. Even if they don't show it outwardly, avoidants are constantly scanning for emotional patterns. They want to feel in control, and they often expect ex-partners to remain emotionally tethered, checking in, posting online, or subtly signaling availability. But when you disappear into growth, not silence for punishment, but silence for evolution, they lose the emotional anchor they relied on to prop up their own sense of superiority. You're no longer a character in their psychological drama. You've stepped off the stage. And in that shift, they are left to face something deeply unsettling, the possibility that they misunderstood you, underestimated you, and misjudged what they had. Avoidants don't process regret quickly, and they rarely chase validation. But over time, the image of you thriving, unbothered, and no longer orbiting their emotional field becomes impossible to ignore. It confronts them with a reality they thought they could avoid, that their emotional distancing didn't protect them, it isolated them, that in trying to remain unaffected, they pushed away someone whose growth now shines as a mirror to their own stagnation. Your transformation becomes a silent teacher, not through revenge, not through games, but through your decision to rise. And nothing dismantles the avoidance, superiority narrative more powerfully than seeing the person they dismissed become the person they can no longer reach in the dynamic they thought they controlled. The beauty of non-reaction is that it re-centers you in your emotional experience. It's not passive, it's powerful. You choose not to engage. You choose not to respond impulsively to breadcrumbs, mixed signals, or tests. This creates an emotional vacuum for the avoidant, one they didn't anticipate and can't easily fill. In that vacuum, they're forced to sit with the question they've avoided all along. Did I actually matter to this person? Was I as important as I believed I was? And beneath that, why aren't they chasing me anymore? This introspection is uncomfortable for them, and avoidants are not used to emotional discomfort being tied to absence. They're used to discomfort arising from too much closeness, not from too little. So your silence flips their script entirely. Doesn't create chaos. It creates stillness. And in that stillness, their carefully constructed identity, independent, unaffected, superior, begins to crack. Not reacting doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've taken your care back. It means you've stopped offering emotional rewards to someone who only valued them when they could control them. And that shift is more disruptive to the avoidant than any confrontation could be, because for the first time, they're left without the feedback loop that validates their emotional distance. And in its absence, they're forced to confront not only who you were to them, but who they were and weren't to you. One of the most psychologically powerful messages you can send to an avoidant ex is not a dramatic speech, a tearful goodbye, or even stone-cold silence. It is peace. Not forced peace. Not performative indifference, but genuine, radiant inner stillness. The kind that signals, I'm no longer chasing you because I no longer need you to feel whole. To the avoidant, this is deeply unsettling. Not because they want you to suffer, but because your peace disrupts the anxious avoidant dynamic that once affirmed their emotional control. Avoidants are drawn to tension, subtly, often unconsciously. Emotional conflict keeps them from getting too close, but it also affirms their psychological position. You want me more than I want you. You need me more than I need you. This imbalance is what allows them to feel safe within relationships while keeping their emotions. I don't need closure to create completion. And more than anything, it says, I've stopped orbiting your gravity. When you radiate peace, you are no longer emotionally available in the way the avoidant expected you to be. There are no dramatic texts, no emotional updates on social media, no desperate attempts to keep a thread of communication alive. There is only calm detachment, a silent knowing that your life is unfolding without them. This is the moment when the avoidant starts to feel the loss, not immediately, not loudly, but slowly and surely. You are no longer a participant in their emotional rhythm. Your stillness becomes louder than words. It echoes in the absence of your usual responses. It creates a vacuum. And in that space, they are left with nothing but their own thoughts and possibly regret. For the avoidant, who relied on you to affirm their importance without having to fully invest, your peace is the one thing they can't manipulate or control. It's important to understand that peace isn't the same as suppression. You're not burying your feelings or pretending not to care. You're simply no longer driven by them. You've reclaimed your emotional center. You've let go not because you're angry, but because you've outgrown the emotional dynamic. That kind of growth isn't just empowering, it's magnetic. And ironically, that's when the avoidant often starts to feel the desire to reconnect. Not because you pushed, but because you stopped pushing. Not because you created drama, but because you let go of the need for resolution. Radiating peace is not a strategy, it's a result. It's what happens when you stop trying to pull someone toward you and start walking forward without looking back. And in that walk, you don't just heal, you rise. And when you rise slightly ajar, expecting that you'll wait patiently outside it, but when you begin living with purpose, when your life becomes full, directed, and intrinsically meaningful without them, it sends a shockwave through their emotional world. It forces them to face a reality they've worked hard to avoid, that they are replaceable. Living with purpose doesn't just mean getting a promotion or going to the gym. It means embodying a sense of direction, clarity, and self-respect that no longer orbits around their approval or affection. It means becoming a person who wakes up with intention and moves forward with energy, who pours their focus into growth, creativity, contribution, and connection with others. And that energy, that forward motion, creates contrast. The avoidant suddenly sees a version of you that is no longer stagnant, no longer paused in anticipation of their return. This realization doesn't immediately trigger love or longing in the avoidant. First, it triggers fear. Fear of being left behind, fear of being forgotten, fear of not being as important as they once were in your life, and perhaps most unsettling of all, fear of being replaced, emotionally, romantically, spiritually. Because the truth is, avoidants often maintain an emotional upper hand, not through active manipulation, but through emotional absence. They assume that by withholding affection and maintaining distance, they remain a kind of ghostly presence in your psyche, always missed, always desired. But when you begin living with purpose, their absence no longer feels like a presence. It just feels like absence. And your movement forward becomes evidence that they were not the irreplaceable force they believed themselves to be. This undermines their illusion of control. It also forces them to ask questions they've been avoiding. What did I actually mean to this person? Why aren't they trying to get me back? Why does it look like they're thriving without me? You living fully isn't just an act of self-love. It's a rupture in their psychological narrative. Because for avoidance, detachment is often a shield against inadequacy. If you move on and build something extraordinary without them, it doesn't just suggest that they weren't needed. It suggests that their role in your life was far smaller than they imagined. And for someone who already fears emotional vulnerability and rejection, that's a devastating realization. But here's the paradox.